All right, hello all and welcome. This is part 2 to the CS Club Arch install video for MesaCC. So last we left off, we just got the OS working so that you could start executing commands onto the actual VirtualBox. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up users and we're going to get a graphical environment going and hopefully download a good number of tools just to start. And then as we go through the semester, if we do anything with any programming language or if we're doing web dev, we'll install the stuff needed at that time because it's kind of hard to predict now where we're going to go. But what I'm going to do is I shut off the virtual machine between last video and this one, so I'm just going to launch it by double clicking. One thing I do want to show just in case is that so I'll let this run, but let's say you screwed up something at any point in using this VirtualBox. So let me log in as the root real quick. Remember we have neofetch that we downloaded last time, so running at a nice 143 megabytes. Let's say that you kind of bork your system and kind of brick it. What you could do is instead of having to re-download every single thing you did in the last video, what you can do is you can come up and hit settings and then go to storage, and then in this controller IDE you could hit the plus sign and you'll want to do this ISO. You'll want to do the ISO you last did, or you could download a new one, it doesn't matter, but you'll just want to hit that. And what that does is kind of it launches us back into that original ISO we used in the first one. So I'm just going to full screen this. So as you can see, this is a different layout than we had last time. It's going to do all that booting up stuff again like it did in the first video. And I just want to show you how you could try to save your current system that's already been installed if you mess anything up. So remember, this is the CD. So what we want to do is we want to do lsblk. We could see, oh, let me put, I can do the font size while I'm here. So I'll increase the font size for you. And all I did was lsblk on that last time, so you could see the command I did right here. And let me run it one more time because it messed up when I changed the font size. So we're going to remount the file system like we did last time. So I'm going to do mount /dev sda2 because that's our root partition onto mount. And then we'll do swap on /dev /sda1. And then we're going to do that root, or change root is what that stands for, into mount. Let's see, I wonder why that did that. Let's look. Because all we have to do anytime we mess up anything is go back to the Arch wiki. So I'm going to go back to the install guide and see what I messed up. So I'm going to go, oh, this is the general recommendation. So mount the file system, so I mounted that. There's packstrap. Oh, arch root and to mount. So I'm gonna full screen this again. So we want to do click in arch root. I should have done the autocomplete command. Okay, now we're back into the operating system that we were using, and we could kind of explore around in here now to see if we messed up anything. So let's say you messed up something in your Etsy folder. You could cd or change directory into that folder. and you could list all the folders out, and let's say you made a mistake on something, you could change that using anything that was on the system. So neovim is in the system, and that's how you could do a recovery. If for some reason you completely messed everything up, then you do just have to do a full reinstall, but I did want to show that as something you could do in case you mess up anything, or in case I mess up something, you could see what I'm doing. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to pop off that ISO from the storage, but you could also do that if you have a physical installation, like on an actual hard drive and not a virtual box. You could do the same thing. You could plug in your USB or pop in your disk or whatever you have, and remount your system, and then run whatever commands you need to recover your full system. So that's really nice. So what I'm going to do is put everything on one page real quick. I'll launch the virtual box. I'm going to do the unfull screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to a different workspace so that we could have our full browser on this side and our operating system on this side. So root password. So this is what you should have already done in the last video. You should have set all of this up. Let me get this out of the way. So what we've done so far is we've just installed Arch Linux onto VirtualBox, and that is what this installation guide is. However, we want to do more stuff, so that's what's in this general recommendations here after a post install. So one of the first things that has us do is system administrations, and what we really want to do here is we want to set up users. So that's in this user group, user management. So we're going to add a user here. So I'm going to copy most of this here. So I'm going to do user add -m-g. I'm going to skip this additional groups part. I'm going to skip the shell part because we only have one shell on here. It's the bash shell. And I'm just going to do user1 here. And I'm going to hit, so I'm not going to hit enter. So this additional groups part is in italics. That means we have to actually add something here for this -g command to work. And I'm going to scroll down. It's pretty close to the bottom to where it says this user group. So you could use this drop down menu to find this. And I'm going to add the vast majority of these here. And when you're typing in the groups, you have to separate them with a comma, not a space. So I'm going to do the admin group. I'm going to do FTP. Might as well do games, HTTP. Let's do log. Let's do rfkill. Not going to do sys. Do want to do system d-journal. Skip over UUCP, do wheel. So wheel is the like what's going to let you run commands. Now as a super user, now technically I've never gotten this to work on Linux, or there's something else I need to do. I just can't figure it out. So we're going to do something different, but for other purposes, it's nice to be in the wheel group as your new user. I'm going to do dbus. I'll skip kmem. Let's do locate. Skip LP and mail and nobody. Let's do proc. I'll do tty. And I'll skip utmp. These were pre-systemd groups, but I found that normally you do have to add yourself to some of these to actually make other stuff work. So I'm going to do audio, disk, floppy, input. Oh no. If you ever accidentally hit the up arrow key, which on my keyboard is really close to L, you just want to make sure to hit down. And let's see, I think I just put in KVM. Let me hit backspace a few times. Okay, input, KVM, and then I'll full screen it for the rest, but we need optical. I'll skip scanner and do storage and video. So optical, storage, and video. So full screen, click inside, optical, storage, and video. So what we've done so far is we've added, so we're doing the user add command. We're giving them a home directory. That's what this -m is. -g is we're adding our user to all of these privileged groups. We're not going to do the shell, and then we're just going to type in the username for this new user. So I'm going to do user1 and hit enter. Oh, HTTPS does not exist because it's HTTP. And then locate. I don't know why locate is not working, but we'll just delete it because it may not be important. If it is, we'll add it later. Okay, so user1 is our new user. We have to give that user a password, so we're going to do that passwd. But if we need to change the root password, we don't type in anything. If we need to type in a user password, we have to put a space and then that user. So we're going to give them a new password. Okay. So now we could log in as that new user. So let's do that now. So the way you could do that is type su, which allows you to change users, and then you could type in the username. When you're root, you could log into anybody else easily without having to do a password. But if you were a regular user trying to log in as anybody else or as root, you have to type in a password. So this is how you normally want to be. You normally want to be some user logged in that's not root, because you don't want to accidentally run a command that's going to do something bad. So we could see that I'm user1 right here, but let's say that we install something later that gets rid of this. You could always type in who am I, and it'll tell us we are user1. So what is something that you can't do as a regular user? Well, you can't really install packages, so I'm going to do pacman-syu, and I'm going to do TTY or TTF liberation. So these are fonts that I could download. So it's going to say you cannot perform this operation unless you're a root. You do not have to be the root user, but you do have to escalate your privileges to the root privileges. So how do we do that? Well, we can't do anything right now because we aren't included in the file that would recognize us to do that. So I'm going to type in exit, which means I'm going to exit from this user that I've logged into as. Now you can see I've changed back to root, but in case we didn't know, we could do who am I? We're the root user. So what you want to do is you want to do neovim or nano if you did nano before. Let me try getting these fonts installed real quick and see if that will let me blow up the font size. So I think it's TTF liberation that I need. Oh, okay, so in the last video you probably saw that I hit start on the, I did the system CTL start network manager. I made the correction in the description if you read it, but we have to actually do enable network manager.service service. Enable means it's going to persist through reboots and shutdowns. Start just means you want to do it for that one session of being logged in. So enable persist. Okay, so when it runs all these symlinks, that means you're normally good. But this is going to take a few seconds because for some reason systemd is being a little slow, but we'll give it just a few seconds. And I'll go like this for now. So we just added a new user and we've added them to this groups. That's all we need to do for this user part. For system administration in general. So this other stuff you could read on your own time. I've actually never really used the security part. Service management, that's just that systemd stuff that we were doing here. System maintenance, that's the pacman-syu to update everything. There is more stuff you can do to do system maintenance, which is why they have an entire page dedicated to it. But we're just skip over that stuff. Package management, so I'm going to sort of skip through this. So one thing I want to do is enable parallel downloads and then actually do something a little fun. So I'm not going to go here and read these. You could do that on your own, but remember we're the root user, so we could actually change stuff now. So first, let's give our new user root privileges. So how we do that, the whole reason I wanted to do that is to run this pacman command real quick. Oh, it's not working still. Let's see if I have to run start now. I think you have to enable and then start to get it to work through, you have to enable it so it starts during every reboot and then start to run it in the current one if you haven't already done that. So we'll let this run for just a few seconds. And let's see if I can't set terminal size. So I'm going to search for terminal fonts, and see if anything comes up. And let me try TTY fonts. Let's see if set term or set font comes up. So maybe here, and let's see if I could get fonts. They don't seem to have a package here. So since there's not a package, we do. We have terminus fonts right here. So this might be a little hard to see, but this is slightly bolded and a link. So when it's slightly bolded and a link, sometimes wrapped in parentheses, that's usually a package you could download. So I'm going to download this terminus font package so I could set my fonts a little bigger. Oops. So not TTF, we'll do that terminus font. Okay, so internet's working and we could download the package. Took almost no time to do, so I'm going to do that. Set font ter122b. Okay, so hopefully you could all see that now. So the commands I was running before is pacman-syu terminus fonts. systemctl start network manager to make it start, systemctl enable. So enable means we won't have to run that start command every single time we log in. And then the who am I and the user add. So if you couldn't see them before, hopefully you could see all of those commands I've typed now. Okay, so now the fonts are big. Cool. We need to give our user the root privileges, so let's do that. So I am going to do nvim /etc, which is etc. If you ever hear somebody say etc, they mean this. And then I'm going to do sudo ers dot, I don't have autocomplete on, so I'm just going to go into the etc file to see what it is called. You know what? Sudo ers might not have been installed. Okay, so interesting. So there must have been something I forgot to install. And what it might have been is base devel. So let me see if I'm going to go to the beginning. Normally I download this package when I'm doing everything, but oh, I just need to install the sudo package. Interesting. So I'll download the sudo package, pacman-syu sudo. Now some people don't like sudo because it's again one of those big packages that kind of do too much, because the vast majority of people only use it to do one thing, which is to escalate their privileges to root. What you could do instead is do as. It does the same exact thing as sudo, except it's significantly smaller in size, and it only does that one thing. But we'll just install sudo because almost every command you'll find in the Linux world runs sudo. So I'm going to install that, hit enter, we're done. So now I should have, and I could already see it, that sudoers file, which is like right here. When I put my mouse inside of the operating system, it disappears, so I have to do it off to the side. So we're going to edit that file, nvim sudoers. Okay, notice this RO at the bottom. When you see that in neovim, that means it's a read-only file, and this goes for any text editors. Since we are the root user right now, we are good. And I'm just reading this first part. So it says that you normally have to run this as vi sudo, but I don't have just vi installed on here, so I don't know if that will actually work. Let's try it though. Vi sudo sudoers. Okay, yeah, vi sudo doesn't exist because I don't have vi. I could technically do sudo edit, but actually we don't have to do this at all because we're already root, so kind of just wasting time on that one. If you are a normal user, you cannot edit this file. You have to be root, and that's what this command does. Or you could do something called sudo edit, all one word, to also edit this command. So I'm going to go near the bottom, and what we're looking for is the word wheel. Actually, we're looking for this green here. So I'm going to hit, and then when it says warning on there, you could just hit enter, but I hit the X key to delete. So I'm going to hit the X key until wheel turns green. And then what I'm going to do in neovim or in vim, any of the vi derivatives, if you hit the Y key, the letter Y twice, that's going to copy the whole line, and then you could hit P to paste. and I'm going to type the letters C, W in quick succession to delete the word I'm currently on and go into insert mode. So I'm going to do I'm going to do user1 because that's the user that we currently are. And I am going to save this file. So I hit escape. You could tell you're in normal mode because the your cursor is just a solid block. When you're in insert mode, it's the little underline. So you want to be in normal mode. It unclicked for some reason. Okay, there we go. You want to be in normal mode and you want to hit :WQ. Remember, this is read only, and even as a root user, we can't just save it as normal. So I have to do :W and then the exclamation mark to force write this file. So we're good. And then I could hit :Q to escape. So now what we could do is I'm going to again su into user1. So you can now see that the prompt is user1, and I'm going to run let's do something easy just to see that we could run file. So I'll actually install that first. Font set, which was TTY or TTF liberation. Okay, oh yeah, so I ran the file, but I didn't run it with sudo, so I have to do sudo, and this is actually a good opportunity. I actually meant to do this on purpose the first time I ran the video, but by doing it by accident, I can now show you. If you ever get this error, you cannot run this operation as root, you could type the word sudo and then exclamation point, and that will run your previous command. It will paste it at the end of whatever you currently have typed. So when I hit enter, this will be sudo pacman -syu ttf liberation. This is a really good way. If you ever forget to write sudo, you just hit sudo space double exclamation point, and that will run the previous command with elevated privileges. The very first time you run, and you could see that it ran the full command right here. The first time you do sudo as a new user, you should read all of this, and then you have to type in your password. And then you're good to go. So it's going to ask, do I want to install this package? Yes, I do. Okay. So that shows you now anytime we want to download a package, we're going to do sudo pacman -syu and do, we're going to do a whole bunch, then we're going to type in whatever package we need after that. So remember, if you're a regular user, you have to do sudo. Okay. And that's just for security reasons. If this were on a network with a whole bunch of people, or this computer was owned by a lot of different people, we obviously wouldn't want people just willy-nilly installing a whole bunch of packages and wasting space. One thing I do want to show is how much space we've already used. So remember that this drive right here, SDA2, is kind of what our actual hard drive is, because remember we initially gave it 50, but 4 of that's going towards our RAM, our swap space. So if I do lsblk-f, we could see I've only used 5% of it so far, so I still have 40.6 gigs to spare on this hard drive. So kind of nice. We have a fully functioning OS, and we've only used like 6-ish, 5.4 gigs, so kind of nice. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is download like a graphical environment, because you probably, although the terminal is the best place to be a power user, power just means you could do anything. Normally you want to be in a graphical environment because you want a web browser, you want to watch videos, all of that stuff. So what we're going to do is install a graphical environment. So hopefully also by now you appreciate all the work that goes into building something like Windows or Mac OS, because we're doing everything manually just to show you how it's done. There are install scripts that do it all for you in Linux. We're doing it. This is like the third hardest way you can install an OS. The fourth hardest way is, the first hardest way would be like writing your own OS. The second hardest way is something called Linux from scratch, where you compile every single thing yourself and you go out and get everything yourself. The third hardest way would be Gen 2 Linux, where you kind of do the same thing as Linux from scratch. You compile everything yourself, but they give you tools that make it significantly easier. And this is kind of like the fourth hardest step, is the downloading it the Arch way, where you do all of this manually, but you don't have to compile everything yourself, but you do have to set up everything yourself. And then everything else is like significantly easier because it's like install wizards and stuff like that. So hopefully you have an appreciation for like what goes into an operating system from everything we've done so far, because we've already spent roughly like an hour and 40 minutes if you've watched the previous video mixed with this one, and we still don't even have graphics yet, so kind of interesting. So let's do a graphical environment. So I'm going to get out of full screen. Gonna go back. Let's see, where am I now? Back. Okay, general recommendations. So we've done system admins. Oh, okay. So I wanted to give the user the root privileges, but I did want to talk about this. So if you've noticed, every time I've installed a package, it only does one package at a time, but I gave this VirtualBox 6 threads of my CPU, so I should be able to download at least 6 packages at a time. I'm not going to go that far. I'm only going to set it up for 3 packages at a time, because then you're kind of throttling your network when you do it that way. But I am going to enable parallel download, so I'll just click on this. And okay, so it's actually going to, it's not going to be simple to just read what's happening here, unless you read this entire file, which I don't want to go through right now. So I'll give you the shortcut. So what we want to do is we want to edit the pacman configuration file, which is in this etc folder. So, we have nice colors now too, so that's kind of cool. So how do we do that? Right here in this column, there's the pacman.conf file, and we want to edit that. Now, anything that is not in our home directory, which, let me go like this. I'm going to cd into the root file, so I'm going to do an ls. So we are in the root file of the directory tree. Home is where your user lives, so I'm going to cd into home. I'm going to type ls again. You could see user 1 is the user we just created. I'm going to cd into user 1. I'm going to type ls. There's nothing there. That's because you have to do ls-la. And anything with a dot in front of it means it's a hidden file. So normally these are configuration files, but you could see there's bash stuff. So that's how I'm getting all this color highlighting and all of that stuff. We are actually going to switch to ZSH later instead of bash. That's just because you get a little bit more coloring and better autocomplete, but we'll talk about that later. So you, as a regular user, can only edit stuff in this folder, the home folder of your user, as a non-privileged user. But anytime you want to do anything else, like anything in, let me go back to root. So if you want to edit bin files or the boot directory or anything here that is not home, you have to be a privileged user. So when I'm in the Etsy folder and I want to edit the pacman.conf, I have to do it as sudo, and I'm going to run sudo edit. I don't know if this will work right now. If it doesn't, we'll do it the long way. If it does, great. So pacman.conf, I'm going to type in my password. Okay, yeah, so vi again is not there. What we could do is set our editor environment variable right now, but I'm going to do that at a later stage. So we'll just do sudo nvim pacman.conf, hit enter. So you don't have to type in your password every single time. It's only if like a minute or two has passed that you have to type in your password to do admin stuff. So this is the pacman conf file, so you could do all your configurations for pacman here. And what I'm going to do is this parallel downloads thing. So I'm in normal mode. I'm going to hit X to make it not normal mode. And then I'm going to type the letter R and then 3 to replace this 5 with a 3. So now we're going to get 3 downloads going on at a time. And then I'm also going to uncomment this color because sometimes it's nice to see colors when you're downloading. And I did the X on the hashtag there to get rid of it. And then I'm going to add one thing here just because it's kind of fun. So I'm going to hit the O key to go into a new line and go into insert mode. And then I'm going to type in capital I, capital L, love, capital C, candy. And then I'm going to escape and then hit colon WQ. So colon WQ. So you'll see what I love candy does in a few minutes. Okay, so we need to set up a graphical environment. So what do we need to do that? Well, let's see if it's on here. I'll do full screen here. Let's see if booting is anything I need to mess with. Nope, no booting so far. So graphical user interfaces. So what we need is to get a display server. So what a server is a little complicated, but there's 2 servers you could do for graphical environments. You could either do Xorg, which is the tried and true one. The new kid on the block is Wayland. I am not too familiar with Wayland, so I always go Xorg, but I do think Wayland is a cool choice, and if you want to try it out, feel free to. But I just don't know too much about it, so I'm going to go to Xorg. And then, so to download Xorg, which is you could read about it here, it downloads the X Windows system. You want to download this Xorg server package. But the kind of better way to do it is you want to download this Xorg group package. So a group package downloads a whole bunch of stuff for you to do. So I'm going to do this Xorg here. Yeah, so I'm going to download Xorg, not Xorg server and not Xorg apps, because Xorg combines these two. And then I am going to this xinit. So this is a related article. Xinit is what's going to let us auto start the graphical environment without having to do a whole bunch of extras. So I'm going to click on that. For that, we need to download Xorg init. So let me type both of those in now. Let me get out of Control F there. So I'm going to clear the screen so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do, remember, I'm a regular user. I'm not the root user anymore. So I have to do sudo pacman-syu. We're going to type in Xorg for downloading Xorg server and Xorg apps. Then I'm going to type in Xorg-xinit. Let's see. I'm not going to do a display manager. So what a display manager is, it's a login screen, and you can download one of these if you want. I recommend LightDM, but then you have to read the LightDM manual page and set all of that up yourself. So I want to go back to the Xorg page, and I also want xrandr. So this is going to allow us to change this from the 900 by 800 pixel resolution that it currently is, I think, to the 1920 by 1080 that my computer actually does. So we need to download xorg-xrandr. Okay, one other thing that I'll just install now because it's not going to be important later is I want to download ZSH, which is the Z shell. So if you've ever ran the terminal on your Mac, the newer, not even newer Macs, I think it's been like 8 years they've been doing this. Mac has the ZSH terminal, and ZHS will have a lot of cool stuff for us later. So let me actually go back here. Let's see if it might be in appearances. Nope. I just want to get to the ZSH page, so I might just have to go there. Yep. Unless this works. Oh, okay, cool. So here's the ZSH page, or ZISH. So ZISH is just another shell that's different than the bash shell, but it has some nice extras that I just personally like for later use. The one problem is we have to do a little bit of setup with ZSH, but that's fine. So if you click all the way over here on the third-party extensions, we're going to go a little bit past this. And we want to download these two packages, so ZSH syntax highlighting and ZHS auto suggestion. I'm also going to download this package file package. And I think that's all I want to download. Let me check. Okay, this is useful to do, but we'll do that later. We might not even do it in this video because you probably won't need that later, but I do recommend going through this whole page and kind of reading everything about ZSH that you could do. But if I go like this, and I do that ZHS syntax highlighting. Let me do Control F and get it bigger. And then the ZHS auto suggestion. Let me check if I need anything else here. No, so I'm going to hit enter my password. Okay, so here, anytime you get one of these prompts, it's going to ask you one of two things. So remember I said Xorg was a group, so it's asking what do I want in this group? Well, I actually want everything, so I'm just going to do the default all and hit enter. But the other thing it could ask you if you get a prompt like this is which one of these choices do you want? So you could download a package from one repository versus another, or you could download like when you're doing audio stuff, you have to choose an audio server. So that could be ALSA, that could be Pipewire, that could be Pulse Audio. You'll get a choice. So that's the two things that could show up when you do this. Sometimes also you'll get a prompt saying, do you want to trust this new repository? And you would just hit yes, assuming you knew what you were downloading. So I'm going to hit all here. So I must have spelt this wrong. So let me go back down. Oh, and I did not know this was a thing, but I'm going to download this ZISH completion as well. So I'm actually glad I spelt that wrong. So I'm going to add this on. I'm going to go all the way down here. Oh, and I forgot to do package file as well. So that's two things. So let's see, ZHS auto suggestion. So let's see, how did I spell it wrong? That looks correct, but I will just, let's see, auto suggestions. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Let's see, is there anything else added to it? Oh, there's not an S, it's auto suggestions. Okay, so yeah, so I didn't pluralize this. And then I also need package file, and then I need zish completions. So I'm actually going to check if that was plural or not, because I don't want to make the same mistake twice. Yep, it's plural. And actually, one more thing, just because we're going to be setting up our shell, is I want to download something called Starship. And I'll show you what Starship is in a moment. So, I just want to make sure everything on here is good. So yes. Okay, so it's going to ask me that same question. I can't scroll back because we're in a TTY. So a TTY is a teletype prompter, which means we're in a shell, but we're not in a graphical environment. So I can't scroll back while I'm in there. We will be able to scroll back once we install a terminal emulator and do all of that stuff. But here's all the packages I'm downloading. This is going to be 347-ish megabytes, so cool. A lot of times in Linux, what's really nice is when you do a complete system update, you'll actually see the total install size is negative a lot of the time, and that's just because they figured out how to be a lot more efficient with certain packages, so the developers just take out stuff, and then your total storage usage actually goes down with updates. So that's really cool. You like never see that ever with Windows or Mac. Oh, and you could see we got these little Pac-Man characters. That's what the I Love Candy does, is they have the little Pac-Man guys like go across the screen. So that's just a little fun when you're downloading packages. And it doesn't really waste that much extra RAM. It's probably like not even a kilobyte extra RAM to do that. So just kind of fun. Sometimes VirtualBox is slower on hardware. So if I did like a complete update on my system, it would not do these hiccups here. But sometimes that happens. Oh, I'm glad it's actually stopping right here. So notice this optional dependencies for Starship, TTF font nerd, where we are going to be installing what's called a nerd font later. And what a nerd font does is it gives you a lot of extra symbols to play around with. So as this is going on, I'll show you in my terminal. So I have to be over here. Let me do this. Oh, let me get to a terminal page. Okay, so here, obviously I could type regular letters, but on my computer, I've written this script that will let me grab font characters. So I hit Super E. So let me, before I click on one of these, Super is either the Windows key on a Windows computer or the Command key on a Mac. If you ever hear a Linux person say the super key, it's whatever character is in between the Alt and the Control key in the lower left-hand part of your keyboard. Again, for Windows keyboards, that's the Windows key, and for Mac keys, that's the Command key. I have a special keyboard that I custom ordered, and it doesn't have either of those keys, so I just have a super key on my keyboard, but we'll need that super key a lot later when we get into our graphical environment. So let's do like a weather key. So I know it's really hard to see because this font is really small, but I'm going to hit enter right here, and then I'm going to paste into my terminal. And you could see I pasted a little cloud character. So that's what a nerd font is. Let's do another one. So I know that they have the Arch logo in here, and I'll paste that Arch logo. So obviously those are not characters, so there's no command for that, but a nerd font lets you do all of this stuff, and it's nice for when we do starships. So let me show you right here. I think it's working on this computer. Let's see if this, okay, so you could see the C programming language logo popped up. That's a nerd font as well. And let's see if there's anything else. Maybe Zig. So Zig has this lightning bolt that's actually not the Zig logo, but it's the closest thing they could get for a nerd font, because somebody actually has to add the Zig logo to the nerd font, but that's kind of cool. So we should have definitely been done by now. So cool. So I'm going to type echo here. So echo is just a command that repeats back whatever you have. But the reason it's useful is because that's actually where all this text comes from and package stuff. And what you could also do is type in variables into your that are recognized by your terminal shell. So a $sign is a variable in shell scripting. So we could see we're currently using the bash shell, and I want to change that. So the way we do that is we do change shell, which is CHSH. And then I have to actually read the help page because I don't remember how to do this. So to get help, normally what you do is you type a command and then -H. And this will give you how you use it. So we do the command, and then we do an option, and then we do the username, which is what I thought. So we need to do change shell -H. Actually, before we do that, let's list out what shells are available to us, which is -L. And notice down here I got a bin /ZH, so I'm going to do that. So change shell -S /bin/ZH, and then I want to do it for user 1, and I'll hit enter. So changing shell for user 1, so I have to put in my password. Shell changed. Now technically it has not changed yet, because if I do echo shell, you'll see we are still in bash. That's because your shell can't just change when you're already using it. So I'm going to type in exit. And notice that we're the root user again. So this is not technically anything dangerous, but you don't want to log in as root and then log in as another user in the same session. So I'm going to type in exit again. And this should take us to the login page. Again, VirtualBox is a little slow, and it actually might crash here because I think something happens in VirtualBox. Okay, no, it didn't. So VirtualBox is really slow. If I were to do this on my actual computer, it's like lightning fast. But remember that I'm running an OS inside of an OS through an emulator, so it has the right to be a little bit slow. So I'm not going to log in as root this time. I'm going to log in as user 1 because we just created that user. And then I'm going to type in the password. And then it's going to take a few seconds, but we should get a prompt when we log in that we need to set up ZSH. So we'll give it just a few seconds to log in. And the reason it's probably freezing right now is because it is trying to launch this prompt. So sometimes when you full screen and unfull screen and full screen, it will do all this for you. But that's fine. So this is the Z shell configuration function for new users. So I'm glad it recognizes that. You are seeing this message because you have no ZSH startup files. So none of these files, the .zshenv, none of that is set up yet. So we're going to set up a few things. So we could quit and do nothing, but we don't want to do that. So I'm going to hit the number 1 for continue. So we need to pick some options. So let's configure the history real quick. We want to save the previous 1000 commands. Sure, that's good enough. Where should we save that history? So I personally don't like it to be in this, when you see the tilde, which is shift the character right next to 1, that means the home directory. I hate when dot files are in my home directory because then it just gets cluttered. But we are going to keep everything default on here because changing stuff drastically from the defaults is not normally a good idea. So I'm just going to keep tilde /.hist file as the history file. Number of lines of history to save. So normally these two are should be all right. So I am going to do 0 to escape from that. So I'm going to go on to 2. So I'm going to choose number 1 to turn on completion. So let's hit 1 again. That's all fine. That's the same info as last time. Do 2. Oh, okay, I see. When I hit 1 here, it just turned on all the defaults. What I wanted to do was actually hit 2 here to auto do, or not auto, but so let's see if. Okay, so yeah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to turn on 1. Oh, actually, no, excuse me. We wanted to hit 2, and then we just wanted to hit enter. And then we want to hit enter one more time. We want to hit enter again, so we'll set up F path as needed. Okay, so now we want to set up the completers for ZHS, so I'm going to do 1. So you can set up all of these, and what you want to do is set up the ones you want. So let's see, basic completion we definitely want, so that's hitting the tab key to autocomplete. Approximation, I don't like when this is turned on, because if you don't currently have a command on your computer but it's close enough to a different one, it's gonna auto execute that other one, and you don't I don't like that. But if you make typing mistakes a lot, you might want to turn on the approximate one. 3 might be a good one to turn on, so I'll hit 3. I don't use expansions. What expansions does is when you do the Shift 8 key, which is the asterisk, it will expand whatever that means in that context. I would recommend not doing that. And then I'm just going to hit 0 to save all of that. I'm not going to mess with 2. Let's see what 3 is. Let's see what 3 is. Okay, so you can turn on these. Some of these are actually nice, so let's do 1. And then we'll do 1 again. Okay, so we just did all of 1. How we color everything, 2. And I'm just going to turn this feature on unconditionally, so it's kind of nice what it does. And then I'm just going to use the default here. I know this is a lot of options and I'm kind of going through it quickly. Feel free to pause the video and read through it if you want. Let's do 3 here, and I'm just going to hit enter for the default, and then I'm going to hit 0 to save all of this stuff. And then I'm going to hit 0 again because we're done with all this comp install stuff. And then I'm going to save and exit this part. And then I'm going to hit Y for yes. And then hit Y again for yes. So all we've done is 1 and 2. So I'm going to go into 3. Oh, so this is completely personal, but I don't like the default settings, or I don't use Emacs, so I'm not going to do E. If you want to use Emacs, feel free to, but I like Vi or the Vim settings, so I'm going to hit V, and then I'm going to save and quit. Let's go to 4. So I'm not going to do 1. Not going to do 2. Let's turn on 3, I guess. And we'll type an S to turn it on. Don't really care about 4. Don't really care about 5, so I'm going to hit 0 to move on. And then hit 0 again to save everything. Okay, notice how our prompt has now changed to archcs%. Remember before it actually told us what our username was, and it told us the machine where we were on, which is archcs, and then it had, I think it had like a colon or a / or something after it. So this is the ZSH shell, which we could double check with echo shell. And so bin ZSH. Now, one thing that's nice is that actually it's not working right now, and I wonder if I forgot to do a setting. So let's see if I exit and then restart. Because one thing we should have is syntax. Oh, I know why it's not working, because we haven't configured it yet, and it's not part of the regular configuration. So let's see. So I need to actually go back here and go all the way to the bottom. So remember, we installed that syntax highlighting and auto suggestion, so we actually have to provide that to the file. And I guess this is a good lesson that you don't want to log in and out a whole bunch of times on the VirtualBox, because it's going to be slow and freeze like this. I might actually just shut it down and load it back up. Yeah, I'll do that. So power off, turn it on. Oh, actually, this is fine. I'll just move this to a different page. Go here, and then I'll move this over here. Okay. Kind of a lot of stuff to do that all, but that's all right. User 1, my password. Okay, so fish is another shell, but it's not POSIX compliant, so that's why I'm not using it. There's a lot of different shells out there. Some of them are actually kind of cool. Fish is kind of cool. It's just not POSIX compliant, so that's why I'm not going to use it. So we need to edit our zish configuration file, which let's see if it's actually there or not. So I'm going to do ls-la. So let's see if set font ter 122b. Make that a little bigger for you all. So as you can see, we have these new files here. So .zshrc. When you have an error, it goes into the zcomp dump, and then the .zni I think is that auto-configured stuff, and then we have the history file. So I'm going to do nvim.zshrc. So this is the stuff that was auto-completed that's important. And you could see they gave us this nice comment at the end that says end of lines configured by the zish new user install. So I need to install, I need to tell ZSH where to find that syntax highlighting and auto completion. So what we have to do is we have to go to the very end of our file like we are now, and remember we have to be in insert mode. So you do that by either hitting O or I, or a few other keys, but not important right now. And we are going to type these in verbatim. So source /user share ZSH plugins zish syntax highlighting zish syntax highlight. Oh, I can't autocomplete while I'm in a file. Lighting.zsh. Okay. Instead of typing this command longly all over again, because all that's changing is syntax highlighting to auto suggestion for both of these, I'm going to escape, and then I'm going to hit YY. Let's see, YY, and then paste. And then I'm going to go up to syntax highlighting. Here's a new thing for you. If you type the letter V, I will highlight stuff, and then you could type C to change it. So auto suggestions with an S, remember that. Hit escape, move on over. Change auto suggestions plural. Cool. So I'm going to quit and escape, and then if I do echo again, you're going to see that echo is still that basic white. So what we have to do is we have to source this file. So I'm going to source .zshrc, and then I must have typed something in wrong. Let's see. Oh, but it is doing the syntax highlighting, so that's really nice. So let's see, what did I type wrong? So zish plugins auto suggestion. Oh, it's not syntax auto suggestion, it's just auto suggestion. And because I didn't add this other thing, so down here you can see the package command not found. So I'm going to also source this as well. So I'm going to type in O source /user share doc package file command not found .zsh exit :WQ. Okay, I'm going to source this again. .zshrc. Shoot. Oh, share did not. I forgot the E in share. So if you type in E, that will go to the end of a word, and then you could type in I to insert. Oops. So actually what I should have done there is A, but that's all right. :WQ. One thing I've noticed is because I was wondering why it was going slow when I'm in insert mode and then escaping. Because we're in a TTY, the insert does not refresh, or it refreshes very slow. So you could actually just start typing stuff when you escape. It's just the TTY is slow with that. So :WQ to save and quit. And I think that's all typed out fine. Okay, no, remember, no output usually means we're good. Cool. So We are done with, actually, we're not completely done with ZSH because one thing is this is kind of boring and ugly, this Arch CS %. So we downloaded Starship, and I want to show you Starship. Oops, so it went too far, so I'm going to go like that. So starship.rs, because it's a Rust file. This will give you kind of a nice prompt. So if you saw in my terminal, we have this prompt up here mixed with these nerd fonts and this chevron here. That is what Starship is. So we are going to configure Starship. So I'm going to click Get Started. We already installed Starship, but we need to install a nerd font before we go any further. So how do we do that? Well, let's do this default one of Fira code nerd font. But how do we find a package if we don't know what it's called? So everything so far has been something that was easy to find, and I don't even think Starship is on this page. It's not. So I could go here and type in Starship, but there's no official Starship page, so this is something completely different. And if I type in nerd font, we're not going to get anything nice. So where do we go when we need to find packages if it's not in the wiki part of the Arch wiki? Well, what we could do is we could go to packages and then type in nerd font. And then here it's going to give us any package with either nerd font in the name or nerd font in the description. So remember, Starship had what was called Fira code. So I'm going to go here and do Control F and type in Fira code. And there's only one option. It's TTF Fira code nerd. And there's little dashes here. Let me make the font bigger. So TTF-Fira code-nerd. So I'm going to go back here and full screen. No, I won't full screen. So we're going to, so remember, this is a package, and to download a package, we are going to do sudo pacman-syu ttf-fira code-nerd and hit enter. Type in our password, hit yes. It's going to download quick. And we're done. So I could set TTF Fira code now into the TTY, but I don't know how well that's going to work because this is what has what's called ligatures. So if you've ever typed letters and you've noticed like T and I or F and I, kind of when you type them together, they make a new character. Let me actually see if I could just look up them. Ligatures. So like this is what's considered a ligature. So S and T will have this. You've probably never seen that one because it's a little too fancy. But like T and H, you probably have seen where the T connects with the H. That's called a ligature. Fira code is a ligature, so I don't want it to break in the TTY, so I'll set it up later when we get a terminal emulator going. Okay, so we still haven't got us into a graphical environment yet, but we've been setting us up for success. So I'm going to go backwards, so I'm back at the wiki. So we have, let me actually go to the... Let me full screen this. Let me go to the wiki homepage. And then install guide is what we did, but we were in general recommendations. I'm going to go to graphical user interface. We've already downloaded a display server. I'm not going to download drivers because we're in a virtual box. If you're doing GPU pass-through, you would want to read this page. Okay, so now is where choice again comes for you. So you can download either a desktop environment, which is a complete suite of stuff for user interfaces, or you could download a window manager or compositor. So window manager is what Xorg calls them, and compositors are what Wayland calls them. So that is these two up here. But it's kind of interesting because compositor actually means something in Xorg as well. So that's how we get transparency. So let me just show you transparency real quick. If I type in comp fee, made everything go away. Oh, okay. So came back. So obviously you can't see anything here. Comp fee is something that gives you transparency. Let's see if I open up a new window. Okay, so yeah, comp fee it's not the best. You can get it to work well, but that's how you could see all those transparencies and the files I showed you during the OS operating systems lecture. But I kind of have really drastic configurations on it, so it makes some things completely disappear. But that's what a compositor is. It gives you transparency and rounded corners. It will work in the virtual box if you want to download them, because we're not going to do DWM like I have. We're going to do something else. But I am going to install a window manager, so I'm going to go down to this window manager thing. Feel free to do a desktop environment if you want everything working right out of the box. Okay, so there's different types. There's stacking, tiling, and dynamic. You could read what these mean, but Windows users and Mac users are used to stacking. So that's when you could grab the title bar of the window and drag it around and resize it manually. Tiling is like kind of what this is. So when I do this, you could see that it's splitting everything up. But what we want is what's called a dynamic tiling window manager. And what I recommend is Awesome. Now there's two ways to get Awesome. One is this way, where you just download the Awesome package, but we are actually going to do it a slightly different way. For those of you that don't care about making your user interface look drastically different and crazy, you could do sudo pacman-syu awesome. You'll get the same exact thing as what we'll have as default. But if you want to do crazy customizations, you're going to hit awesome. And this is a nice segue into the difference between packages here and what's called the AUR. So we could either install the Awesome package, which is sudo pacman-syu awesome, or we could download Awesome Git, which is the development version. So it's the latest and greatest of Awesome at all times. It is definitely not unstable because the version it's been on has been there for like 2 years with only minor updates. So I will show you how to do either one of these. So if you want to just download the regular version, you're going to do sudo pacman dash. Notice how this is this is called ghost text or virtual text. That's our auto completion at work. You could do awesome, hit enter, and you're done. So I'll hit enter just to show you what's going to pop up. So all of this stuff's going to get downloaded. You would hit yes, do it as is. I'm going to hit no because I want to show you what the AUR is. So the AUR is packages developed by people that are not part of the Arch development team. This is the reason why Arch is so powerful, is because there's tens of thousands of packages in the AUR. But you have to do something a little different to download those, because I cannot just type sudo pacman-syu awesome-git. So I'll hit enter now, and we can see it's not found. So how do you install an AUR package? There's two ways to do it. One, you could get a separate tool like pacman to do it for you, or you could just do a little bit extra work. So I am going to type cd here and hit enter. I'm going to type print working directory, or pwd. I'm in my home directory. Great. I'm going to do mkdir for make directory, and I'm going to call it build, because we're going to build any of our AUR packages within this build directory. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to cd, or change directory, into the build directory. Just to show you we did that, print working directory. So we are currently in the build folder. Now I'm going to click on this link. And what you do for AURs is that you have to use Git, which you've probably heard of GitHub or GitLab. Git is the command line tool to interface with stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, because when we click, we can't right now because we can't copy and paste into here yet. So I'm going to hand type this out. So we're going to do git clone, and notice how git is red. That means the that command is not on our computer yet. So what we can do is install git right now. So that is sudo pacman-syu git. Git's going to install these extra tools for us. And then they're going to load them. And once they're done, we're going to type git clone and then this URL here. Let me make it slightly bigger for you so you can see what's going on. So I'm going to write git. Notice that git is green now. Git clone https://aur.archlinux.org/awesome-git.git. None of these warnings matter. For those in the know, Git used to have something called master branches. Git is changing it to main branch. So they're just giving us these warnings, but they don't matter here. So I'm going to do ls, and notice how this is not color coded. So awesome git should be a folder. So I'm going to do ls-la. Oh, and because it's not LA, it's _color. So that is blue because it's a directory. So I'm going to cd into awesome git. I'm going to do another ls. Okay, package build is what we downloaded from here. How you install a package build is you type in make package pkg -sirc, and then you hit enter. Oh, interesting. So this must be out of date. So we actually cannot. Yep, so we actually cannot do it because it's out of date right now. So we will just install it the way we were going to do before, unless, yeah, we will just do it the way we were going to do it. So sudo pacman because I just want to make sure. Yeah, so whoever wrote this package, remember this is not by the official Arch people. This is some user that's making this. So they have messed up this build file. That's fine. We will do one that won't fail later. So sudo pacman awesome, and then I'm going to hit enter. Oh, I forgot to type in -syu. So just awesome. And then I'll hit enter. We're done. So we just downloaded that. So how do we start Awesome? Well, we actually have to install one other thing that I forgot. We have to download something called Xterm, which is a terminal emulator. The only reason we have to do this now is because Xterm is the default on Awesome. We're actually going to be switching it later to something called Kitty. So we'll download Kitty right now, but we won't use it right now. So these are called terminal emulators. So let me get out of this and let me show you what mine is. Oops. So this is called Alacrity. This is another terminal emulator. There's a bunch of differences between the terminal emulators that you could do research on your own time. But I'll just do this. I'm going to hit enter here. Going to hit enter again. Okay, so remember how we did that exinit? We did pacman-syu exinit, our xorg exinit. We downloaded that, I think, earlier in this video. We're actually going to finally use this package now, so I'm going to unfull screen this. Go over here, go to the search bar and type in startx. So that's what's exinit. We've already downloaded this package if you've been following along. So what we need to do is copy this configuration in this file over to the configuration in this file. So how we do that is we do copy /etc x capital X11 exinit rc, and then we're going to do that into our home directory. So the way you do that is you type shift and then the character next to one, which is the tilde character. If you can't find that for whatever reason, it is /home /user1 or whatever your username is. So this whole thing that I've typed, that's the same thing as tilde .xinit rc. So now we should have that in our folder. So I'm going to do nvim.xinit.rc. Going to full screen this so you can see what's going on. So there is a lot of stuff that's going on in here. What we are going to do is we're going to basically delete everything here. So TWM is called Tom's Window Manager. It's the default that's on most computers. I'm going to delete all that. And I am actually going to delete basically everything except what's up here. So you could delete this one and the bottom one, but there's no reason to because they don't even exist right now. So what we're going to type here is we're going to type exec. Notice how it bolded when I did that. So non-bold, bold. That means it's a correct command. And we're going to type in awesome here. We're going to quit. And moment of truth, we're going to see if it's going to boot into the graphical environment when I type in startx. So nothing is happening right now, so it might be loading. Okay, cool. So it booted up into the live environment with Awesome running. So this is very cool. Now, what can we do here? Well, not a whole bunch because we haven't downloaded a web browser. We really haven't done anything, but we did install Xterm, which is the terminal emulator. And I'm going to do two things in there. So to launch Xterm, one of two ways. You could either hit the super key, which remember, that's either the Windows or the command key, and the letter R. So you'll see a little prompt just came up here, which is cool. Or you could type in the super key and enter together. So you want to hold down the super key and then hit enter. And that's going to launch as a terminal. This terminal does not look good at all. So I want to switch this to Kitty, but we can't do that. Actually, we can launch Kitty right now. So to close a window, you could either hit this or you could hit Super Shift C to close a window. So that's the Windows key or command key, Shift and then C together. If you hit Super R, we could type in Kitty, hit enter. For some reason, Kitty takes a while to boot up. It's just kind of slower. But it will have some niceties later on when we're trying to do extra stuff. So we'll give it a minute. I don't know why Kitty takes so long, but it normally will boot up faster after the first time. Okay, so we're booted in. This is kind of better looking because it's not a light theme, which is harder to read. So to maximize this window, you could do super key and then space or super key and M. But I want to show you this. Right now we are what's in called floating mode. So I could take this title bar and move it around. If I spawn another terminal, you could see this. And I can move these around individually. So this is probably what you're used to. But if I click on this, notice how we're in tiling mode now. So I could spawn a whole bunch of windows and I could close them. And then you could cycle through these. You don't have to click. You could hit super space and it will cycle through all the possibilities. So these ones are kind of cool. It's the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio, whatever you want to call it. Exit out of those. So I want to launch Kitty again. And it's going to launch in full screen mode. Well, full screen compared to the aspect ratio we're currently in. So let's change the aspect ratio because obviously it's kind of annoying being in here and not using our full screen. So if you type in xrandr and hit enter, you're going to see the possible options we have. So virtual 1 is the screen we're currently on, and we want to set it to 1920 by 1080, which is an option here. Oh, notice how you could also see my mouse finally. That's because we're in a graphical environment. So I am going to type in xrandr, 2 dashes, output, virtual -1, because that's the name of our screen right here. And then we want to do 2 dashes mode, and then we're going to do 1920 by 1080. So that's going to be the X here. And just hit enter. So now we're finally full screen. But there's a lot. Oh, for some reason, Kitty and xrandr break the mouse. We won't be using the mouse that much in here, but I don't know why Kitty does that. If you don't want to use Kitty, you could do sudo pacman -syu, and then you could do alacrity instead. And then let's do that just to have it on here. Hit yes. Okay, I'm going to close Kitty. And I'm going to do super R and type in alacrity. And maybe alacrity takes a few minutes to also boot up. and I could have just mistyped it as well. So let me do alacrity to make sure that it's actually going to boot up. Okay, so it did. I'm going to close one of these, close one of these, close the wrong one. So alacrity. So notice how this has a prompt. That's because I hit super P, which gives you a prompt, and make sure you type in the right one. So we'll give it just a few minutes and I'll go to a different, so we have different workspaces up here. So you could see that I was doing that on my previous one. I think we could type in alacrity and we can't do the basic config file. So I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to go up here. I want to set the terminal font bigger, and we can't do it using just set term font. So I'm going to go to alacrity. Okay, so we have to go to the projects. Okay, so actually, I want to stop using this browser, and I want to start using a browser inside the terminal, so I could just, or inside our virtual box. So what we're going to do is I'm going to download a browser. So let's see if Brave shows up. It doesn't. So Brave is not a package in the packages. So let me full screen this. If I do Brave, hit enter, you can see nothing's coming up. That's because Brave is an AUR package. So we'll go to the AUR and type in Brave. And we want Brave bin, this first one. And we're going to need to clone this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd into my build directory. Remember we did the, oh, I don't have ls set up yet. Let's actually switch this because it's kind of annoying that ls doesn't auto show us stuff. So if we do nvim.zshrc, remember we've been here before. I'm going to go down here. And if you type in alias, so alias, ls, and we're going to set it equal to, you want to put a quote here, ls dash a 2 dashes color. So this will give us color and it will show us hidden files anytime we run the ls command. So I'm going to do colon wq. And then I'm going to source.zshrc. Okay, so now ls should give us color now, which it does. And we're going to go into build. We're going to do that git clone https ://aur.archlinux.org/brave-bin.git, and that's it. So it's going to clone all this stuff. It's going to take a second. ls, we can see we have a Brave folder now, so I'm going to cd into Brave ls, and then we are going to do that make package-sirc. Okay, so I have clearly messed something up, and oh, I think I know what it is. We never installed the base devel package. So I'm going to do sudo pacman-syu base-devel. So this gives you the ability to build packages, and I completely forgot to install it the first time around. So we're going to hit enter here. We're going to do pass. We're going to hit yes. It's going to install some stuff. And this might take a little bit because we are installing a compiler. Let me full screen this. Oh, okay, so it was done. When you're not in full screen, this bar down here actually covers stuff, so it actually downloaded pretty quick. So now I should be able to run make package. Okay, so it actually works this time. So I'm assuming that the awesome git was not broken. It just that we didn't have these packages. So I'm going to type in my user password. I'm going to download all of this stuff. And you know what? Let's actually install Awesome, and I'll show you how to uninstall the Awesome that we already have. So uninstalling packages is probably something you're going to be doing a lot. I need to type in my password here. Gotta hit yes to download Brave. Okay, so now we have the Brave browser in here. So to show you that Brave works, let me close this, and I'm going to hit Super R, and I'm going to type in Brave, and we've got the Brave browser going. So set Brave as default, and let's do dark mode so we're not blinded. Don't want to do any telemetry here. No telemetry. Finish. Okay, cool. So Brave browser. I just like this because it doesn't use a lot of system resources. So if I type in Alacrity again, and I do neofetch because we installed that a while ago, notice I'm running a browser and a graphical environment, and we are only we are using less than 700 megabytes of RAM. Let me run it one more time. Still using less than that. Sometimes when you first start a program, it uses a bunch of RAM. But now we could copy and paste, which is nice. So now remember, I want to uninstall Awesome, the default package, and I want to install Awesome Git, the one we downloaded in our builds directory. So let me go to build. So I want to download Awesome this way, but I need to uninstall Awesome, the one we currently have, so there's no conflicts. But I cannot uninstall Awesome while I'm using Awesome. So how do we do that? Well, I can't remember what the shortcut is, but if we go all the way over here, and if you see this kind of letter A looking thing in the top left corner, you could click that, and then you will go to this drop down. I know it's hard to see because the mouse is broken. We'll get that fixed in a bit. But we want to go to these hotkeys, or we could hit quit. So let's just quit. So now we're back to the TTY, back to the normal resolution. I am going to do sudo pacman. Instead of SYU, we're going to do dash capital R lowercase s to uninstall packages. So you want to run this command every single time you uninstall a package. If you just do capital R, then you're going to get what are called orphan packages, and you don't want that. So we are going to do awesome, type in our password, type in yep, we're done uninstalling it. We're going to cd and then cd into build and then awesome git. We got that package build here, so I'm going to type in make package -sirc. Remember, that is because this is an AUR package. This is the bleeding edge of Awesome. So we're going to get all the updates as they come in. Going to type in my password, going to type in yep. Going to type in my password again, going to type in yep. Sometimes you have to do this more than once when you're downloading AUR packages, because you have to download both regular packages and then the AUR packages as well. So this is going to take a bit because we are actually building or compiling Awesome Window Manager right now, but we're downloading and compiling the latest and greatest version. This will also give you the Lua programming language, which you actually got Lua JIT if you downloaded neovim, because neovim and Awesome are configured using Lua. So Lua will now be on this computer. So as this is going, what do we currently have on here? So we now have a window manager, which is awesome. We have 3 different terminals. We have Kitty, Xterm, and Alacrity. Sometimes it's nice to have alternatives. I personally use Alacrity. Alacrity does not support ligatures, so that's why we have Kitty in case you want that. So I'll show you cool ligatures once we get up and running. We have our Git. We just downloaded Git, right? We have the Brave browser. When we downloaded the base devel, we got a C and C++ compiler, so we could run C and C++ now. Python is part of every Linux distribution, so we could run Python, which I'll show you how to do that in just a few seconds. And then we have Xrandr. So Xrandr lets us change our screen size, but only when we're in a graphical environment already. And we have networking working, so that's nice. Type in our password again. So remember, sometimes this is going to go, we have to type in our password a few times. So, okay, this will be the last time because we have awesome Git finally. Okay, so we are done. We have compiled Awesome and installed it into our, somewhere in our root directory. So if we type in ls here, you're actually going to notice all we've downloaded were zip files basically, which is a package.tar. Let me do ls-color. Yep, so yeah, we just built Awesome. Now, I believe we are actually done. So I'm going to type in start X, and if it fails, I know what to change. If it doesn't fail, then we're good. Okay, cool. So this is not the same Awesome we just did. It's a completely different one, which is cool. So I'm going to hit Super R, and let's try to run Kitty. My mouse is working right now. If I type in Alacrity, the mouse is working, and it does work when I do Kitty as well. So maybe Xrandr is the one that's breaking the mouse, but that's fine. So yep, Xrandr for some reason is the one that breaks our mouse. I will try to figure out how to fix that, but again, we don't need to use the mouse that much because we are in a terminal. So let's make the font size bigger, and let's get that awesome nerd font, or just that nerd font working. So I think the way we do this is we do Control Shift F2, and it might just be F2, so let me get out of that. Yeah, it's not F2, so it's Control Shift F2 to get into Kitty's configuration file. So I am going to hit, okay, these are called folds. And if you're not sure what a fold is, it just collapses a bunch of lines onto itself. And the way you get those undone in neovim is you type in ZA. Okay, so I'm going to come here to font family. I'm going to take that out. So one thing, I'm going to go down to font size, and I'm going to change this to 16. So I'm going to type in R6 above the 1. And I'm going to quit out of here. Oops, I forgot to write it first, so we need to save. Okay, this is not going to work yet because I need to close Kitty and then I need to reopen Kitty. Okay, so our font is larger. I'm going to go back into the font, so Control Shift F2. I'm going to go down to here and unfold this line with ZA. And then I want to change this monospace font. So I'm going to do CW to change the entire word. And I'm going to do Fira code. And I think it's regular, but we don't need to guess. So I am going to hit, I'm going to hit first, I'm going to hit Control M. Oh, not Control M, super space to get a terminal going. And what I'm going to type in is FC, let's see, FC list. This is going to give us every single font that is on our computer, but notice that there is a ton. There's probably over 100 that are on our system, and I don't want to go through and try to figure out where Fira code is. So I'm going to go hit the up key to call the last command, and I'm going to show you something new. This is called the pipe character. What it is it's shift and then backslash, which should be above your enter key. So what that is going to do is it's going to take the output of this file and then put it in as the argument of my next command. And we're going to run something called grep. Grep is lets you search for stuff. It's a very powerful tool. I'm going to do -i name because I want it to be case insensitive. So I don't want to put in the proper casing is basically all that means. And I want to look for Fira. Why? Let's see, grep. Oh, it might just be -i. Okay, yep. -i name is for a different command. So let me maximize this one. And what we want is this Fira code nerd font. Just this regular one right here. So the one that's right above the cursor. So I am going to go here, click here, Fira code nerd font. And I think that's all we have to do. So escape WQ. And I don't know if that switched anything, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to hit Control P, type in Kitty. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to see if ligature is installed. So how can we test that? If you hit the equal sign and the greater than, which is shift period, we should see the two characters combine. Okay, it did not work, so that means that we did something wrong. So I'm going to go back into here. Sometimes these need to be in quotes, so let's see if that was the case. Kitty. Let's try this again. Okay, still not working. So another thing we might have to do is we might have to tell it which nerd font, which version of Fira code to do. So I'm gonna do that FC this again. And what we want, I guess, is actually this line. So Fira code nerd font dash regular all one, no spaces. So let's go here. Okay, here's one, another neovim tip. If I do CI quote, it's going to change everything inside this quote. And actually what we want to do is, yeah, that. So CI quote That changed everything inside of the quotation mark, so it deleted everything in there. Super useful when you're typing strings in any programming language. So I'm going to do Fira code nerd font dash regular, and then I don't think I need the quotes here. Close this, kitty. Let's see if it works this time. Nope. Well, you know what? Let's check what I'm doing wrong by getting out of here, and I'm going to shut down this machine because I know it's working on my other machine. And let's just see what the configuration I did on that one was. By the way, if you didn't want to go through all of this, you probably already know that I have the ISO already working that you could download from the Discord. Excuse me. So I'm going to launch Kitty, and I'm going to do Control-Shift F12, and let's see what I did on this. I did already do this, so I must, there must just be something I'm misspelling in the other one, because what we should have is if I type in equals, oh, it's not working on there either. Well, that is an issue, obviously. So we're going to ignore that for now. What's nice is that we now have a bigger font in our terminal, which is what really matters. But I will figure out the ligature part in just a bit after this video, and I'll post it to the Discord. But having the font on the terminal bigger is nice, make it readable. So 16 is normally what, I'm not ALC on this computer. 16 is what you normally want for usability. And we'll also, so when it says corrupt ZSH, it actually is not corrupt. For some reason, we get that error if we just do a hard shutdown. So I'm going to do start X. 16 is a nice readable font size. I need to do Control P. Let's do, we could do Kitty or Alacrity, whatever one you like. And one thing we could do is just remove the hist file because we don't need it right now, and it will just generate a new one so we can stop getting that error. If you ever get that error, you could just delete the hist file because you're probably not going to be using it that much in the beginning, and you won't get the error later on. So what we need to do is now, first of all, xrender. Oh, and the mouse did not fail. So maybe we just needed to do a reboot on that. I don't know why that wasn't working before. Okay, so what I don't like is that our Awesome has extremely small fonts right now. So I believe the font size is set to 8 right now for that. So this will be one of the last things we do in this video. Except I do want to show you that Python is on here. So Python _version. So we have the latest version of Python. GCC is the GNU C compiler collection. So, oops, you need 2 dashes. And oh, I spelled version wrong. Version. So we're on the latest GCC. I believe Ruby was not installed, but Lua was installed. Oh, and sometimes if version does not work, it's just -v. So we got the latest version of Lua. You could go into the REPLs and type print hello. X equals 5, Y equals 3, y plus x should equal 8. So we can now play around with Python. We could do Lua the same way. C is not an interpreted language, so we can't play with the REPL in that, but we could compile C languages, C files and CPP files. So next week I'll be talking more about programming languages and telling you how you could download more. But yeah, let's get awesome working with a nice font size, and then I'll end this video because it's obviously been going on for a pretty long time. So what we need to do is I'm going to launch the Brave browser here because we now have Brave. And it's going to take a few seconds to start up, or it might have started up, but it's just okay, yep. So let's see, why did Brave not launch? Yep, okay, so just took a while. Brave normally will get you back to the previous thing you were doing, just like Google or Firefox, Google Chrome or Firefox. So what we want to do is go to AwesomeWM. So we can read about the docs here. This is the actual website. I highly recommend reading the actual website. Normally you would be clicking on this one because this is the stable release, but remember we are now on the Git version, which we could actually check because Awesome has a _ version. So we could see that we are on awesome 4.3 a whole bunch of stuff dirty. That's just a developer saying that this is the unstable branch. So I'm going to click on the unstable branch. You could read about how to customize all of this stuff here, but what we want to do is configure Awesome, and it might not tell us how to do it right away. Nope, it won't. So we have to go to one of two places. Okay, so we have this file and it's telling us to copy it to .config.awesome. So all of your personal configuration files hopefully will fall into this. There's something called the XDG directory, and a lot of software does not respect the XDG directory standards, but Awesome does, which is great. So we're going to copy, which is CP /etc xdg awesome rc, and we're going to do that. And so actually I have not made the Awesome folder yet. So if I cd into .config, because we're in our home directory, notice that Awesome is not a choice here. So I'm going to make dir awesome, and then I'm going to do that copy /etc xdg awesome rc.lua, and I'm going to put that in my home directory .config awesome. I'm going to cd into awesome ls. So now you can see we are here. I'm going to type in neovim rc.lua, and this actually won't matter right now for this page because we're not actually, I do want to set one thing here. So if you do /terminal, hit enter, and then go down a little bit, you could see the default terminal is xterm. If you type in CIW, that will change the word, and you could do either kitty or alacrity or any other terminal you've done. Let's do kitty because we've been using that. I'm gonna colon W just to write it, and I don't want nano as my text editor. I want nvim to be my text editor. Great. Let's see, I need to find the themes folder. Okay, so the default theme is here in this folder, and we are going to copy it over to this current folder. So I'm going to do cp user, and now we could copy and paste. So I want to show you how to do that. I'm going to highlight this whole thing. I'm going to hit Control C to copy it. And then you cannot do Control V in the terminal because you're just going to get this carrot looking thing and then it's going to do random stuff. What you have to do when you're pasting into the terminal is Control Shift V to paste. And then if you want to paste something to the directory you're currently in, you do / and then hit enter. Because that is, we don't want that default theme, so we want to do theme.lua. So what this error is complaining about is I tried to copy over a directory, but you can't copy a directory. You have to copy a file unless you put the -r flag after cp. But I just want the theme.lua so we could switch it. So nvim theme, and all I'm going to do is go over here and do, I'll keep it sans for now. We could switch it any other time, but I'm going to do 16, right quit everything here. And then if you go over to the top right, awesome, and look at hotkeys, you'll want to read that later, or you could edit the config, but I'm going to hit restart. And that didn't work, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit out of it. No, never mind. I don't have to quit out of it. What I did wrong was a common error. So I need to go into cd.config awesome, and then I have to do nvim rc.lua. And what we have to do is we have to tell Lua where to find this new theme folder. So where it says beautiful init, I'm going to highlight, which is lowercase v on the G, and go all the way here, hit delete, which is X, or D. And then I'm going to do /home alc.conf, not alc, we are user1. .config awesome and then theme. Okay, so we got all of this stuff. This is telling awesome where the new file is, so hopefully I could now restart. And I don't know why this A is not working anymore. Oh, because it's not going to do the title bar anymore. If you do Super Shift Q, that's going to quit out. We're going to start X. Okay, now our our font size is bigger, so X render. Cool. So notice that this doesn't work anymore. Let's fix that right now. So cd config awesome. I'm going to remove this theme here, which doesn't matter because it's already preloaded in. I'm going to go up to that copy. I'm going to delete theme.lua. I'm going to go over here to the CP, type -r, hit enter. What that did is I brought the whole folder here. I'm going to go into default. Then I'm going to change this theme.lua again. And let's do our FIRA code. So FIRA code nerd font -regular. We'll do 16 here. We'll quit, save and quit. cd ... goes backwards a directory. And then we're going to do nvim rc.lua because we've now changed the directory. So all I'm going to do is go all the way here and type in here default theme.lua. And then if you just want to restart Lua, it's Super Shift R. Control Super R restarts it, so I should have, okay, nope. So broke this part, but that's fine. Let me try quitting out of the whole thing and see if it will work. Xrender, let's see if it'll work now. Yeah, something about where it was before made this window pop up, but we don't need it because if you use Super Shift Q, you could quit out of Awesome, Super Shift R to restart it. I'll figure that out as well for the next video. Because yeah, so what we need is ligatures and to figure out that, but right now we are good because the font size is big. The only thing I want to get working is Starship because I forgot to do that before, and I do know this video is long, so I do apologize. Oh, what the heck are my... Okay, that was weird. For some reason that wasn't working. So starship.rs. So I installed it. I just didn't configure it because we got the nerd font beforehand. So I already installed it. Remember, we are in ZSH if you've been following along. So I'm going to copy this over here. And what we need to do is we just have to paste this to the end of our ZSHRC file. So gotta go here, get a CD into our home directory because I want to see our directory, what directory we're in, because right now all our prompt is this and it doesn't change depending on where we're at. So I'm going to nvim.zshrc. If you hit Shift G, you'll go to the bottom of a file, hit O to go into a new line, and then Control Shift V to paste, exit, escape WQ, source.zshrc. Okay, now we have a prompt where we could see where we are. So remember, tilde means the home directory. So if I print working directory, this string right here means the same thing as tilde. If I cd into config, you can see we're in config, switch into awesome, we're in awesome. Notice that this is broken right now. What we need to do is, because this should be showing the Lua file, let's go into configuration. To full screen something, you do Super M to full screen in Lua. And I want, I'm going to go to FAQ. Let's see where, oh, presets. I wanted to go to presets, excuse me. You want to go to nerd font. And then all you do is you copy this command. To unmaximize something, you just hit Super M again. Go to your terminal, Control Shift V, hit enter, and now you notice the Lua files here. So if I go backwards and let's make a directory called programs, cd into programs. Let's make a directory called Rust. CD into Rust. Obviously nothing's here because we just made that. If I touch hello.rs, so rs is a Rust file, you could see that the Rust logo is popping up there. It might be a little hard to see. I am in Kitty, so I should be able to do Control plus. Nope, that does not work. So I wanted to just make it a little bit bigger, but I don't remember what the command is for Kitty, but hopefully you could see the Rust symbol right here. And this just is kind of nice. So one thing that is nice, one easy one to see is the Haskell. So I'm going to go into there, touch hello.haskell. It has a sh file extension, and that's the Haskell logo. So it's a purple lambda. But this is all I wanted to show you for now. So we have a whole bunch on here that we could use. We got a browser, we got multiple terminal emulators, we got Python, we got C and C++. Java is a little hard to do, so I don't want to do that right now. But I'll either make another video downloading a whole bunch of stuff, or what I will probably do is make this an ISO and then make a second ISO that has everything on it so that you could download either one. And then through the semester, as we need new stuff, I will show you how to do it, how to download it. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know on the Discord. But thank you and have a wonderful night.